One. That was Avant. Read your mind. So the right to vote is supposed to be enshrined in the Constitution, but as everybody knows, that has never been the case. It hasn't been the case with anybody unless you were a rich white landowner. It hasn't been the case for the Native American. It hasn't been the case for women, and it hasn't been the case for black people. But now what we're having is a redo of that. We're having a situation where people are determined to make it harder to vote. Not because there was malfeasance, not because there was cheating, not because there was fraud, but because black and brown people showed up in larger numbers than anybody anticipated, and the powers that be lost. The powers that be lost. And now, even at the federal level, I heard Mitch McConnell say something very interesting. We don't need federal intervention in our election. And the only reason many black people and brown people can vote right now was because of the aforementioned federal intervention. As a matter of fact, the rights that black people enjoy now, they would not have if the federal government hadn't interceded. If states' rights were the fare of the day, places right now in America would have slavery or close to it. Whenever somebody says states' rights, what they want is their ability to do what they want to people who they think are of less stature, and the federal government not intercede on their behalf. When Mitch McConnell says the federal government doesn't need to be, our election doesn't need to be federalized, they exactly do. We can't keep having states do what they want to do and guiding this country. And I've said this before ad nauseum. It is the states with the least to offer that are the most disruptive. The least to offer. In terms of natural resources, in terms of population, in terms of contributing to the economy, the states with the least to offer, they are little more than the uncle who has to live with your grandmother for the rest of their life. But they want to change things and make them so hard for black people to vote that it's impossible. And for the people that believe your vote doesn't count, I bet you understand it does now. Right now, they're trying to do years and years, decades of progress. They're trying to say, well, you can't vote at this time. We're going to make it. They're trying to take mail order, the ability to vote by mail because they know that's too convenient. Because you know what? Almost anything that's convenient, people do more of. You don't have to go to restaurants. You got DoorDash. You don't have to go to malls. You can do it online. So almost anything that is modern that people want you to do, they modernize it. They make it easier for you to do. Why don't we do that in voting? Because exactly this reason. They would never win. They haven't won a national election since George W.'s father was the president of the United States of America. And they don't have to give a national message. What they do is keep fragmenting things and gerrymander things and breaking things down so that it makes it harder for votes so they can hold on to power whichever way they can. When Mitch McConnell says we don't need a federal election, that's exactly what we need. We need federal oversight because absent that, they would do whatever they want. Right now, Georgia not only wants to make it harder to vote, but if your vote doesn't go the right way, they want to be able to remove the electors and put people in that'll do what they say. How is that an election? Already, the majority doesn't win. Already, the majority doesn't have a say. Already, it is unfairly weighted. If it were weighted fairly, why do states like West Virginia and Idaho and North Dakota, why do they have so many senators and congressmen? Because of some antiquated notion of the Electoral College. It's already slotted against the people who have the most population, who contribute the most to the economy. And even at that, Mitch McConnell, the minority leader of the minority leader. Now, if they're going to give minorities all those rights, if minorities are going to get the chance to run the country, I think we have a lot to say about that. But that isn't what happens. They're trying to make it harder to vote, and he has the temerity to get on TV and say that we don't need a federal election. We exactly do, because absent that, we'll have Texas, Georgia, Mississippi, or Arkansas, and all these states trying to do it themselves. Anytime somebody doesn't want the federal government around, they want to be able to do what they want to people without anybody to answer to. And people should understand the rights that we do have as far as we have to go. If we did not have the federal government interceding on our behalf, we would be little more than slaves. And a lot of people are trying to make it exactly that way right now. If your vote doesn't count, they wouldn't be trying to criminalize it. That's a little note from the GED section. We got the Jazz Report coming up in 15 minutes. This, of course, is the D.L. Hughley Show.